If Getting Over It by Bennett Foddy came out today in 2023, would it still be successful? Well, to start, let's take a look at Getting Over It as a whole and discuss why it is such a unique game. Getting Over It is a game designed by developer Bennett Foddy, who is well known for developing a simple little game called QWOP. This 2010 Flash game sensation is remembered for its difficult control scheme, harboring frustrating gameplay. The game is a simple, endless high score game where you control a sprinter running down a track. With Q and W controlling the thighs and O and P controlling the calves, controlling the runner resembles only what could be described as what it looks like when a baby giraffe learns how to walk. Many high school computer labs claimed host to the challenge for who could scrape their sprinter further down the length of the track. Bennett Foddy followed up QWOP with his next release being a lesser-known Flash game titled GURP. In GURP, the player rock climbs up the side of a cliff, awkwardly using different letters to hang onto the wall. The game proved frustrating due to the mental disconnect for your motor skills between trying to put together which keys are needed to stay held down and which keys you can let go of. There's also water rising under you, putting more emphasis on speed as you climb. So Bennett Foddy's track record had already began in the business of making games that exhibit awkward control schemes that spark frustration in the player. In November of 2017, Bennett Foddy released Getting Over It on Steam. It wasn't a pretty looking game, or particularly a fun looking one. But just like his previous successes, it was a frustrating challenge. Except this time, the task wasn't just an endless high score competition. The game was set on one level that had an ending. It had level design that changed as you progressed further up the climb, providing new and interesting challenges for the player as they succeeded. That is, if they could even succeed in the first place. You see, just like his previous creations, Getting Over It had another wacky control scheme. It was controlled purely with the movements of the mouse. You control a man in a cauldron, but the only part of his body you have access to is his arms. But more specifically, it feels like you are just controlling the tip of the hammer, and the man's body in the pot is what you are lugging up the ascent. Using the mouse, you are either finessing the hammer to carefully pull your cauldron body up a ledge, or wildly swinging the hammer using the force and momentum to traverse rapidly. Getting Over It became very popular amongst gamers because of the prowess that came with succeeding in the difficult feat of summiting the climb. But it was also famous for the great frustrated reactions that content creators provided when failing. It also could have picked up some traction due to Bennett Foddy's reputation for game making. But regardless, the game was a hit and became an infamous rite of passage for gamers. Live streamers took to the game, eager to prove to their chats that they were a gaming gigachad, able to defeat the monstrous climb. And with content creators playing the game, many great reactions of emotion happened as well. There are big cheers of satisfaction and accomplishment when a player clears a section. But more importantly, there are great moments of anger and sadness when players experience a big fall losing a ton of progress. Many quit, but thanks to some clever design, many didn't. You see, this difficult control scheme was something new to everyone. Because of its uniqueness, it had a high skill ceiling, and after just a few hours of experimenting and learning from trial and error, sections that felt so daunting at the beginning end up becoming a breeze, with your muscle memory naturally recreating what you did to succeed the first time. These extremely clear examples of your improvement drive the player to want to keep climbing and become part of the few proud gamers to reach the top. On top of this satisfying gameplay loop, Getting Over It is not just a straight up rage game. When I think of a rage game, I think of games like The Impossible Game or I Wanna Be the Guy. They have the player experience a difficult gameplay loop where if you make one single mistake, you die and end up straight back to the beginning of the level. Bennett Foddy instead designed the level to snake back and forth over gaps that lose you only a bit of progress each time. The only possible way you can get hard reset back to the beginning is by chaining together multiple falls by losing all your composure. Normally, if you make a single mistake, you only lose a bit of progress and you're able to save yourself from disaster. The only occasion of the game hard resetting you back to the beginning takes place with the gimmick of the snake near the top, which is clearly a meme and extremely hard to accidentally fall down. This level design takes the sting out of the falls just enough for the frustration to not make the player quit. Like I said, unless they have a complete meltdown and chain together a lot of falls, which almost always makes for a good clip, it's hard to lose all your progress. It makes it a test of patience rather than just being straight up unfair. This simple design mechanic completely alters the player's experience with its difficulty, and as a result, a brand new game genre was born, aptly named the Foddian genre. The most famous games from this genre that were created after Getting Over It are Pokestuck and Jump King, which each have a unique control scheme with unique art styles. But Getting Over It seems like a game created mostly from free-to-use assets thrown together into a 2D map with little to no thought on the visuals. The actual level design is really good, but the visuals are more like a mashup of objects that remind me of something I would have made in Gary's mod back in the day. The physics and the movement of the character are so wildly uncomfortable and sometimes unpredictable, it's definitely my least favorite out of the big three Foddians, and I genuinely think it's the weakest of the three. It was the game that started the genre, which is named after its developer, but there's almost no telling of whether the game would have sold well with its successors just simply being more fun, and overall better design takes on the genre. Jump King and Pokestuck took what Getting Over It did correctly and learned from it, creating a more complete take on the experience, whereas Getting Over It received no extra content. If it wasn't the first of its kind, it might have been swept under the rug, even with Bennett Foddy's name attached to it. So overall, I would say that there is absolutely no shot that Getting Over It by Bennett Foddy would be successful if it came out today. There is zero chance that a fighting game designed with free-to-use assets straight out of the Unity store with the jankiest controls of all time could ever gain the same amount of traction and success if it was released in 2023. No chance.
Today we're playing a game called Only Up. It's a game that came out on Steam just about a week or two ago. Now, I saw this game come out, and I saw a few French streamers play it, and they seemed to enjoy it. But when I actually went to the page of the game, nobody is playing this in America. Look at the reviews. There's 1,100 in like plus reviews. 25 in English.
Well, for fuck's sake. Only Up has very recently risen to popularity within the French and Chinese streaming communities. This caught the attention of streamer Ludwig Ogren, who tried it out on his stream, beating it in 8 hours, and is now being played by plenty of top English-speaking streamers. The game itself is a spiraling mess of random free-to-use assets ascending into the heavens. It's got extremely floaty, slippery, and straight-up janky physics and controls, even though its actual control scheme acts just like a normal 3D platforming game. The long ascent is Fadian in nature, in the sense that not every fall is a hard reset to the beginning, and the level design spirals back and forth over its previous sections. Honestly, with the game being so long, it's simply another test of patience. No jumps in this game are incredibly difficult, nor could they be, with its incredibly common and limited control scheme. In fact, I think this is what makes the game very approachable for the average gamer. But it's the unpredictable physics and lack of patience that will cause you to fail. Sprint jumping can result in slide-offs due to your increased momentum, uneven terrain will catch you off guard, making you slip or even bonk off an edge that you think you can land on, and some terrain is straight up not even tangible even though it's visible. It's maximum jank on this hideous random object climb, but god damn it, I can't help but admit it's charming. It took me 4 hours and 58 minutes to complete in my first playthrough, and although I was losing my sanity, I hate to admit it, but I enjoyed playing the game very much. I think what makes Only Up and Getting Over It so charming is the nostalgia of playing janky and busted games growing up. These horrifically designed games that have so much wrong with them sometimes provide you with the best moments in gaming. I feel like everyone has at least one memory of a game glitching or straight up breaking that makes you laugh every time you think about it. When you think of these games, you remember them as being incredibly scuffed, but you can't quite help looking back on them fondly. Something like Only Up could have been created by anyone, and there's no telling as to why it was picked up by the streaming community and shoved into the forefront of relevancy. But there's something about the Fadian genre that just keeps bringing people back. The thought of challenging yourself with such a tough climb and achieving it in the end after hours and hours of grinding is something that's just incredibly natural in our human nature. So yeah, even though I think of this game and Getting Over It as completely janky and thrown together pieces of steaming hot art, I can't argue that they've got some incredible charm that only comes from the biggest hot messes in gaming. And so, with Only Up as our evidence, I believe that Getting Over It would probably still be a massive hit if it released today. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it, consider watching another one. And be on the lookout for more videos coming soon, boys.